Thomas Macmillan had lived a long and fulfilling life. As a retired schoolteacher, he had touched the lives of countless students, always treating them with kindness and patience. Now in his late 70s, he found joy in the simpler things, tending to his garden, reading, and spending time with his grandchildren. However, as age caught up with him, his health began to decline, and he required more care than he could manage on his own. His 2 adult children, Emily and John, were successful in their careers, but often too busy to visit or provide the care he needed. After much deliberation and persuasion from John, Emily reluctantly agreed that their father would be better off in a nursing home. They assured themselves it was for his well-being and promised to visit often. The day they took Thomas to Green Meadows Nursing Home was one of mixed emotions. The nursing home was a well-maintained facility, with friendly staff and a welcoming environment. But for Thomas, it felt like the end of an era, the loss of his independence and the warmth of his own home. As they settled Thomas into his new room, Emily and John tried to ease their guilt with cheerful conversations. "Dad, you'll like it here," Emily said, forcing a smile. "There are activities and people to talk to. It's a great place." John nodded in agreement. "And we'll visit you often, Dad. You won't be alone." Thomas smiled weakly, appreciating their efforts but knowing deep down that their busy lives would make regular visits challenging. "I understand, children. I'll be fine," he reassured them, though his heart was heavy. After they left, Thomas took a moment to look around his new room. It was clean and comfortable, but it lacked the personal touch of his home. He placed a few family photos on the nightstand, hoping they would make the place feel a bit more like his own. Over the next few weeks, Thomas tried to adapt to life in the nursing home. The staff were kind, and he made a few friends among the other residents. However, the days were long, and he often felt a deep sense of loneliness. Emily and John visited occasionally, but their visits were brief and filled with updates about their busy lives. One rainy afternoon, Thomas sat by the window, watching the raindrops slide down the glass. His thoughts drifted to the past, to the days when his home was filled with laughter and love. He missed his late wife dearly and longed for the times when his children were young and life was simpler. In those moments of solitude, Thomas often found solace in writing. He had always enjoyed keeping a journal, a habit he had maintained for decades. Now, he poured his thoughts and memories into the pages, finding comfort in the act of writing. He wrote about his life, his family, and the secrets he had kept hidden for so long, secrets that not even Emily and John knew about. One evening, after a particularly lonely day, Thomas decided it was time to share his secrets. He took out his journal and began writing a letter to his children. It was a heartfelt letter, filled with love and wisdom, but also revealing something that would change their lives forever. Thomas carefully placed the letter in an envelope and hid it among his belongings. He knew that one day Emily and John would find it, and when they did, they would understand the depth of his love and the sacrifices he had made for them. For now, he would continue to live quietly in the nursing home, cherishing the memories of his past and holding on to the hope that his children would one day appreciate the legacy he was leaving behind. Settling into the routine at Green Meadows Nursing Home took time, but Thomas gradually adjusted. The days were structured with various activities designed to engage the residents: morning exercises, afternoon crafts, and evening games. Although Thomas participated, he often found himself longing for more meaningful interactions and a sense of purpose. Thomas became friends with a few other residents. There was Harold, a retired lawyer with a sharp wit, and Mildred, a former nurse who always had a kind word. These friendships provided some comfort and companionship, but the sense of abandonment by his own children lingered. One day, As Thomas sat in the common room playing chess with Harold, he overheard a conversation between two nurses. "Did you hear about Mr. Thompson? His children never visit him, and he spends most of his time staring out the window," one nurse said sympathetically. Thomas felt a pang of sadness. It wasn't just him. Many of the residents experienced similar feelings of loneliness and neglect. Determined to make the best of his situation, Thomas decided to focus on the positive. He continued writing in his journal, capturing not only his thoughts but also the stories of those around him. He found joy in small moments: Harold's jokes, Mildred's stories about her nursing days, and the rare but treasured visits from Emily and John. He cherished these visits, though they were infrequent. Each time, he hoped they would stay a little longer, ask about his life, and show more interest in his well-being. One Sunday afternoon, Emily and John came to visit. They brought their children, which brightened Thomas's day. Seeing his grandchildren run around the nursing home, full of energy and curiosity, brought back memories of when Emily and John were young. "Grandpa, can you tell us a story?" little Sophie asked, her eyes wide with anticipation. Thomas's heart swelled with joy. "Of course, sweetheart. Come, sit with me," he said, patting the space next to him. As he recounted tales from his youth, Emily and John watched, a mixture of pride and guilt on their faces. They knew their visits were too few and far between, but their lives were demanding, and they struggled to balance their responsibilities. After the visit, Thomas returned to his room, feeling a bittersweet mix of happiness and longing. He sat at his desk, pulled out his journal, and began writing a new entry. This time, he wrote about his grandchildren and the joy they brought him. He also added more to the letter he had started for Emily and John, detailing his love for them and the sacrifices he had made over the years. Thomas also began to document his secret, a substantial inheritance he had saved over the years. He had always planned to leave this for his children, hoping it would help them in times of need. However, he realized that it was more than just money. It was a symbol of his love and dedication to his family. He wrote about how he had managed his finances carefully, living frugally and investing wisely. He detailed the importance of family, love, and compassion, hoping that one day, when Emily and John read his words, they would understand the depth of his feelings and the legacy he intended to leave behind. As the days turned into weeks, Thomas continued to find solace in his writing. It became a way for him to connect with his children, even if they weren't physically present. He poured his heart into each page, creating a testament to his life and the values he held dear. Life at Green Meadows continued, with its mix of routine and small joys. Thomas made the best of his circumstances, finding strength in his friendships and the memories of happier times. And though he missed his family deeply, he held on to the hope that one day they would truly understand and appreciate the legacy he was leaving for them. Thomas's routine at Green Meadows became more predictable, yet he found ways to make his days meaningful. He volunteered to help other residents, read to those who had difficulty seeing, and shared stories with anyone willing to listen. His gentle nature and wisdom made him a beloved figure among the staff and residents. One crisp autumn day, as Thomas strolled through the garden, he met a new resident named Alice. She was a quiet woman in her early 70s, recently widowed and visibly grieving. Thomas, sensing her sadness, approached her with a warm smile. "Hello, I'm Thomas. I couldn't help but notice you seem a bit down. Would you like some company?" he asked kindly. Alice looked up, surprised by his approach. "Hello, Thomas. I'm Alice. I'm just feeling a bit lost, I suppose. It's been a difficult time." Thomas nodded empathetically. I understand. Sometimes talking can help. Would you like to walk with me? Alice agreed, and they began a slow walk around the garden. As they walked, Alice opened up about her late husband and the life they had built together. She spoke of their travels, their home, and the emptiness she felt without him. Thomas listened intently, offering words of comfort and understanding. He shared his own experiences of loss and the loneliness he felt since being placed in the nursing home. Their conversation flowed easily, and for the first time in a long while, Alice felt a sense of connection. In the following weeks, Thomas and Alice became close friends. They spent their afternoons together, sharing stories, reading, and enjoying each other's company. Their friendship brought a sense of purpose and joy to both of their lives. Meanwhile, Emily and John's visits remained sporadic. They continued to struggle with their busy schedules, often feeling guilty about not spending more time with their father. During one visit, Thomas decided to subtly address his feelings. Emily, John, I know life is busy, but I want you to know that your visits mean the world to me. I understand it's hard, but even a short visit can make a big difference, he said gently. Emily looked at her father, tears welling in her eyes. We're sorry, Dad. We don't mean to neglect you. It's just, there's always so much going on. John nodded in agreement. We'll try to visit more often, Dad. We promise. Thomas smiled, appreciating their honesty. Thank you both. I just want us to stay connected. Family is everything. As they left, Emily and John felt a renewed sense of commitment to their father. They realized that despite their busy lives, making time for their family was crucial. Back at Green Meadows, Thomas's bond with Alice grew stronger. They often spoke about their families, their dreams, and the things they had left undone. One afternoon, Thomas decided to share his secret with Alice. Alice, there's something I've been keeping to myself, he began. Years ago, I managed to save a significant amount of money. I've always intended it to be a legacy for my children, but I've never told them about it. Alice listened, intrigued. Why haven't you told them, Thomas? I suppose I was waiting for the right moment. I wanted them to understand the importance of family and the sacrifices we make for each other. I didn't want it to be just about the money, but about the love behind it, he explained. Alice nodded thoughtfully. That's a beautiful sentiment, Thomas. Maybe it's time to share it with them, to let them know how much you care. Thomas pondered her words. He knew she was right. It was time to reveal his secret and ensure his children understood the depth of his love and the legacy he was leaving for them. With a renewed sense of purpose, Thomas sat down to write another letter. This time, he detailed his savings and investments, explaining his intentions and the values he hoped to pass on. He poured his heart into the letter, hoping it would convey the love and wisdom he had accumulated over a lifetime. As he sealed the envelope, Thomas felt a sense of peace. He was ready to share his secret and hoped it would bring his family closer together. For now, he continued to cherish his days at Green Meadows, finding joy in his friendships and the simple pleasures of life. As Thomas settled into the idea of sharing his secret, he felt a sense of relief and anticipation. He knew that revealing his hidden legacy could potentially mend the strained relationship with his children and help them understand the depth of his love. One evening, as Thomas and Alice sat in the common room, he decided to ask for her advice on how to present the letter to Emily and John. Alice, you've been such a wonderful friend. Can I ask for your advice on something important? Alice nodded, intrigued. Of course, Thomas. What is it? Thomas handed her the sealed envelope. "This letter explains everything about my savings and the legacy I want to leave for my children. But I'm unsure how to give it to them. I want it to be meaningful." Alice read the envelope, understanding the weight of its contents. Why not present it to them in person? It could be during a visit. This way, you can see their reactions and explain your feelings directly. Thomas considered her suggestion. "You're right, Alice. It's time to be direct and honest with them. I'll invite them over for a special dinner and give them the letter then." With a plan in mind, Thomas called Emily and John, asking them to visit for a special dinner that weekend. They were surprised but agreed, sensing the importance in their father's voice. The days leading up to the dinner were filled with anticipation. Thomas, with Alice's help, planned a simple yet heartfelt meal. He wanted everything to be perfect, hoping this evening would mark a new chapter in their family's relationship. On the day of the dinner, Thomas felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He wore his best suit and made sure the dining room was set beautifully. The nursing home staff, aware of the significance of the evening, helped with the preparations, ensuring everything was perfect. Emily and John arrived on time, bringing their children along. The room was filled with warmth as they hugged Thomas and exchanged pleasantries. They were curious but respectful, sensing that something important was about to happen. As they sat down to dinner, Thomas couldn't help but smile at the sight of his family gathered around the table. For a moment, it felt like old times, filled with love and togetherness. After the meal, Thomas cleared his throat, capturing everyone's attention. "Emily, John, there's something important I need to share with you," he began, his voice steady but emotional. "I've written a letter explaining everything." He handed the envelope to Emily, who looked at it with curiosity and a touch of apprehension. "Dad, what's this about?" Thomas took a deep breath. "It's about my legacy and the love I have for you both. Please read it." Emily and John opened the letter together, their expressions changing as they read Thomas's heartfelt words. The room was silent, filled with the weight of the moment. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes, and John looked visibly moved. When they finished reading, Emily looked up at her father, her voice trembling. "Dad, we had no idea. Why didn't you tell us sooner?" Thomas smiled gently. "I wanted you to understand the importance of family and the sacrifices we make for each other. It's not just about the money. It's about the love and values I want to pass on to you and your children." John nodded, his voice choked with emotion. "Thank you, Dad. We're so sorry for not being there for you more often. We'll do better." Thomas felt a wave of relief and gratitude. "I know you will. Let's move forward together, as a family. That's all I've ever wanted." The evening continued with heartfelt conversations, laughter, and a renewed sense of connection. Emily and John promised to visit more often and involve their children in their grandfather's life. Thomas felt a deep sense of peace. His secret was no longer a burden, and his family was united in understanding and love. As the night came to an end, he hugged each of his children and grandchildren tightly, feeling closer to them than ever before. With the letter's revelation, the Macmillan family found a new beginning. The bond they shared was strengthened, and Thomas's legacy of love and wisdom would continue to guide them for generations to come. Following the heartfelt dinner, the bond between Thomas and his children strengthened significantly. Emily and John were true to their word, making more frequent visits and bringing their families along. These visits became a regular highlight for Thomas, filling his days with joy and purpose. Thomas found himself rejuvenated by the increased presence of his family. He looked forward to their visits with eager anticipation, always planning something special for them. Sometimes, it was a storytelling session with his grandchildren, recounting tales from his youth. Other times, it was sharing gardening tips with Emily, who had developed a newfound interest in plants. One sunny afternoon, Emily brought her children to visit Thomas. They decided to spend the day in the garden, planting new flowers and enjoying the fresh air. Thomas loved these moments, seeing his grandchildren dig into the soil with enthusiasm and curiosity. "Grandpa, can you tell us about when you were our age?" Sophie asked, her eyes wide with interest. Thomas smiled warmly. "Of course, my dear. When I was your age, life was very different. We didn't have all the technology you have today. We spent our time playing outside, exploring nature, and using our imagination." As he spoke, Thomas felt a sense of fulfillment. He was not only passing on his knowledge, but also creating memories that his grandchildren would cherish forever. Meanwhile, John started to involve Thomas in his business discussions. John ran a small but successful consultancy firm and often sought his father's wisdom and insights. Thomas felt valued and appreciated, knowing that his experience was still relevant and useful. "Dad, I've been thinking about expanding the business," John said one evening during a visit. "What do you think?" Thomas listened carefully, nodding thoughtfully. "Expanding is a big step, John. It requires careful planning and consideration. Have you thought about the potential risks and how to mitigate them?" John appreciated his father's advice and took it to heart. These discussions not only helped John in his business, but also deepened the bond between father and son. They shared ideas, strategies, and even some laughs, rediscovering the joy of working together. Alice, witnessing these changes, was delighted to see the positive impact on Thomas. She continued to be a supportive friend, sharing in his happiness and offering a listening ear whenever needed. One afternoon, as they sat in the garden, Alice turned to Thomas. "You seem much happier these days, Thomas. It's wonderful to see." Thomas nodded, his eyes twinkling with gratitude. "I am, Alice. My family's renewed presence has brought so much joy into my life. I feel more connected and loved than I have in years." Alice smiled warmly. "You deserve it, Thomas. You've always been there for others. It's about time you received the same love and attention." As the days passed, Thomas's health remained stable, and his spirits high. The nursing home staff noticed the positive changes in him, attributing it to the increased visits from his family and the strong bond he shared with Alice. Emily and John also saw the transformation in their father. He seemed more vibrant, more engaged with life. They realized the importance of family and the impact their presence had on Thomas's well-being. One day, Emily approached Thomas with an idea. "Dad, how would you feel about us organizing a family reunion? We could invite everyone, cousins, uncles, aunts. It would be a celebration of our family and everything you've taught us." Thomas's eyes lit up with excitement. "That sounds wonderful, Emily. A family reunion would be a perfect way to bring everyone together and celebrate our bond." With plans for the reunion underway, Thomas felt a sense of anticipation and joy. The Macmillan family was not only reconnecting, but also creating new traditions and memories that would last for generations. As the reunion day approached, Thomas reflected on his journey. From the loneliness of the nursing home to the renewed connections with his family, he felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had shared his secret, and in doing so, had brought his family closer together. The love and unity he had always desired were now a reality. The family reunion was a resounding success. Relatives from near and far gathered to celebrate, filling the nursing home's garden with laughter, stories, and music. Thomas, surrounded by his loved ones, felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. His legacy was not just in the inheritance he left behind, but in the love and wisdom he had imparted to his family. As the family reunion approached, excitement buzzed in the air. Thomas's extended family, some of whom he hadn't seen in years, eagerly accepted the invitation. Emily and John worked tirelessly to organize the event, ensuring every detail was perfect. The nursing home staff also pitched in, decorating the garden with fairy lights and arranging tables and chairs for the gathering. On the day of the reunion, the nursing home garden transformed into a vibrant scene of celebration. Relatives from near and far began to arrive, filling the space with chatter and laughter. Thomas, dressed in his best suit, stood at the entrance, greeting each family member with a warm smile and heartfelt hug. One by one, the family members approached Thomas, expressing their joy at being reunited. Some brought photo albums, others shared stories of the past, and children ran around, their laughter echoing through the garden. Thomas felt a deep sense of happiness, seeing his family together, celebrating their shared history and love. As the afternoon turned into evening, the family gathered around a large table set up in the center of the garden. Emily and John took turns sharing stories about their father, highlighting his wisdom, kindness, and the lessons he had imparted to them over the years. They spoke about the recent changes, the renewed connections, and how grateful they were to have Thomas as their father. Thomas, listening to his children's words, felt tears well up in his eyes. He stood up, addressing his family with a voice full of emotion. "Thank you all for being here. This reunion means more to me than words can express. Seeing all of you together, sharing stories and laughter, fills my heart with immense joy. Family is everything, and today, I see how blessed I am to have each one of you in my life." The crowd applauded, and Thomas's eyes scanned the sea of familiar faces, each one reflecting the love and unity he had longed for. He noticed a distant cousin, Rachel, who had traveled from a different state to attend the reunion. She approached him with a photo album in hand. "Uncle Thomas, I brought something I think you'll like," Rachel said, handing him the album. "It's a collection of old family photos, some of which I'm sure you haven't seen in years." Thomas opened the album, his eyes lighting up as he saw pictures of his youth, his parents, and early family gatherings. He pointed to a black and white photo of himself as a young boy, standing next to his parents. "I remember this day. It was one of the first family reunions we ever had. We were so young and full of dreams." Rachel smiled, flipping through the pages. "There are more memories here, Uncle. This album is a testament to our family's journey, and it's wonderful to add today's reunion to it." As Thomas continued to look through the album, he felt a profound connection to his past. The photos were a reminder of the love and resilience that had always been a part of their family. It was a legacy he was proud to pass on to his children and grandchildren. Throughout the evening, the family shared more stories, played games, and enjoyed a feast prepared by the nursing home's kitchen staff. Thomas watched with pride as Emily and John mingled with their relatives, strengthening bonds and creating new memories. As the reunion drew to a close, Thomas gathered everyone for a final toast. Holding up his glass, he spoke with gratitude and hope. "To family, to love, and to the memories we cherish. May we always remember the importance of staying connected and supporting each other through life's journey. Thank you all for making today unforgettable." The family raised their glasses, cheering and clinking them together. The night ended with music and dancing, a fitting celebration of the love and unity that defined the Macmillan family. In the weeks following the reunion, the warmth and joy of the event lingered. Thomas continued to receive visits from his children and grandchildren, each visit a reminder of the love that surrounded him. He cherished the renewed connections and the sense of fulfillment that came from knowing his family was united. Emily and John, inspired by the reunion, made a commitment to keep the family traditions alive. They planned regular family gatherings, ensuring that the bonds they had strengthened would continue to grow. The Macmillan family, guided by Thomas's legacy of love and wisdom, faced the future with hope and unity. For Thomas, the reunion was a culmination of a lifetime of love and sacrifice. He had shared his secret, brought his family together, and witnessed the power of forgiveness and connection. As he sat in the garden, reflecting on his journey, he felt an overwhelming sense of peace and contentment. His family was his greatest legacy, and their love was his greatest reward. The family reunion not only strengthened the bonds within the Macmillan family, but also inspired a new chapter in Thomas's life. The days following the reunion were filled with a renewed sense of purpose and joy. The nursing home staff noticed a positive change in Thomas's demeanor. He was more active, more engaged, and always had a smile on his face. Thomas's days were now filled with meaningful activities. He spent more time with Alice, enjoying their walks in the garden and deep conversations. They often reminisced about their pasts, shared stories about their families, and discussed their hopes for the future. One sunny morning, as they sat on a bench under the shade of a large oak tree, Alice turned to Thomas with a thoughtful expression. "Thomas, have you ever thought about writing down your life story? You have such a rich history and so many lessons to share." Thomas considered her suggestion. "I've thought about it, but I'm not sure where to start. There's so much to tell, and I don't know if I'm a good enough writer to do it justice." Alice smiled encouragingly. "You don't have to be a professional writer, Thomas. Just speak from the heart. Write it down as if you're telling a story to your grandchildren. They would love to read about your life, and it would be a wonderful legacy to leave behind." Inspired by Alice's words, Thomas decided to give it a try. He began spending his afternoons in the nursing home's library, writing his memoirs. The process was cathartic, allowing him to reflect on his life's journey, the challenges he had faced, and the lessons he had learned. As he wrote, Thomas felt a sense of fulfillment. He realized that his story could inspire not only his family, but also others who might read it. He wanted to convey the importance of resilience, love, and the value of family connections. Meanwhile, Emily and John continued to visit regularly, often bringing their children along. They noticed the positive impact their presence had on their father, and made a conscious effort to involve him in their lives. They shared their successes and challenges, seeking his wisdom and guidance. One evening, Emily and John sat down with Thomas to discuss his memoirs. "Dad, we're so proud of you for writing your life story," Emily said, her eyes shining with admiration. "It's such a beautiful way to preserve our family's history and share your wisdom with future generations." Thomas smiled, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment. "Thank you, Emily. It's been a rewarding experience, and I'm glad to be able to share my story with all of you." John nodded in agreement. "We've been thinking, Dad. Once you've finished your memoirs, why don't we publish them? We can share your story with a wider audience. I'm sure many people would find it inspiring." Thomas was taken aback by the idea. "Publish my memoirs? I never thought about that. But if it can help others, then I'm all for it." With the support of his children, Thomas continued writing, pouring his heart and soul into each page. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that his story could make a difference in the lives of others. As the months passed, Thomas's health remained stable, and his spirits high. The bond with his family grew stronger, and he felt more connected to them than ever before. The nursing home staff also noticed the positive change, often commenting on how Thomas's energy and enthusiasm were infectious. One day, as Thomas sat in the garden with Alice, he reflected on his journey. "Alice, I never imagined my life would take this turn, from feeling lonely and abandoned to finding such joy and fulfillment. I owe so much to my family and to you." Alice squeezed his hand gently. "You've always had a kind heart, Thomas. It's no surprise that your family loves you so much. And as for me, I'm just grateful to have found such a wonderful friend." Thomas smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Life has a way of surprising us, doesn't it? I'm just glad I didn't give up hope." With his memoirs nearing completion, Thomas looked forward to the future with optimism. He was eager to share his story, hoping it would inspire others to cherish their loved ones and never lose sight of what truly matters. As the seasons changed and the days grew longer, the Macmillan family continued to create new memories, celebrate milestones, and support each other through life's ups and downs. Thomas's legacy of love, resilience, and wisdom lived on, not just in the pages of his memoirs, but in the hearts of those he held dear. Thomas poured his heart into his memoirs, writing tirelessly. Every afternoon, he could be found in the library, meticulously recounting his life story. As the manuscript took shape, it became a profound reflection of his journey, filled with wisdom, struggles, and triumphs. One day, as Thomas was deep in thought, Emily walked into the library. She watched her father for a moment, seeing the concentration on his face, and then gently approached. "Dad, how's the writing coming along?" she asked, pulling up a chair beside him. Thomas looked up and smiled. "It's going well, Emily. I've written about my childhood, meeting your mother, and raising you and John. It's been quite a journey down memory lane." Emily glanced at the pages filled with her father's neat handwriting. "I can't wait to read it, Dad. Your story is so inspiring. I'm sure it will touch many hearts." Thomas nodded, feeling encouraged. "I hope so. It's not just my story, though. It's our family's story. The challenges we faced, the love we shared, and the lessons we learned together." As they talked, John entered the room, holding a book in his hand. "Dad, I've been thinking about the publication process. I have a friend who works in a publishing company. I could talk to him about your memoirs." Thomas felt a wave of excitement and apprehension. "That sounds wonderful, John. But are you sure people would be interested in reading my story?" John placed a reassuring hand on his father's shoulder. "Absolutely, Dad. Your story is powerful. It's about resilience, love, and the importance of family. People need to hear it." With renewed determination, Thomas continued writing, and soon his memoirs were complete. Emily and John read the manuscript, their eyes filling with tears as they relived the memories and felt the depth of their father's love and wisdom. Emily, touched by the honesty and emotion in the memoirs, hugged her father tightly. "Dad, this is beautiful. Your words are so powerful. I'm so proud of you." John agreed, his voice thick with emotion. "Dad, your story will inspire so many people. We need to get this published." John contacted his friend at the publishing company, and soon Thomas's memoirs were in the hands of professionals. The publisher was moved by the manuscript and saw its potential to touch and inspire a wide audience. A few months later, the memoirs were published under the title Echoes of Love, a journey of resilience and family. The book quickly gained attention, resonating with readers who found comfort and inspiration in Thomas's story. The nursing home held a special book launch event, attended by Thomas's family, friends, and the staff who had supported him. The garden, where Thomas had spent so many meaningful moments, was beautifully decorated with flowers and fairy lights. A small stage was set up, and a stack of freshly printed books awaited eager readers. Thomas, standing on the stage, felt a mix of pride and nervousness. Holding a copy of his book, he addressed the crowd. "Thank you all for being here. This book is a testament to the power of love, family, and resilience. It's a journey through my life, but it's also a story of hope that I want to share with all of you." The audience applauded, and Thomas began signing copies of his book. As he did, he noticed familiar faces: his children, grandchildren, Alice, and many others who had supported him throughout his journey. One woman, holding a copy of the book, approached Thomas with tears in her eyes. "Mr. Macmillan, your story has touched me deeply. I recently lost my father, and reading about your experiences has given me strength and comfort. Thank you for sharing your journey." Thomas felt a lump in his throat as he signed her book. "Thank you for your kind words. I'm glad my story could help. Remember, love and resilience can guide us through the darkest times." The success of the book brought not only fulfillment but also a sense of purpose to Thomas's life. He began receiving letters from readers, sharing their own stories and expressing gratitude for the inspiration they found in his memoirs. Thomas replied to each letter with heartfelt messages, feeling a deep connection to those who had been touched by his words. As the months passed, Thomas's health remained stable, and he continued to find joy in his daily life. The bond with his family grew stronger, and he cherished every moment spent with them. The garden, where he often wrote and reflected, became a symbol of growth and renewal. Emily and John continued to support their father, proud of the impact his story had made. They saw how their father's resilience and love had touched so many lives, and it inspired them to be better parents and individuals. One afternoon, as Thomas sat in the garden with Alice, he reflected on the journey that had led him here. "Alice, I never imagined my story would resonate with so many people. It's humbling to see the impact it has had." Alice smiled, her eyes twinkling with pride. "Thomas, your story is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. You've inspired so many, including me. I'm grateful to have been part of your journey." Thomas took her hand, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. "Thank you, Alice. Your friendship has been a constant source of support and encouragement. I couldn't have done this without you." As they sat together, surrounded by the beauty of the garden, Thomas felt a deep sense of peace. His journey had been long and challenging, but it had also been filled with love, resilience, and hope. And now, through his words, he had touched the lives of many, leaving a lasting legacy of inspiration and strength. With the success of his memoirs, Thomas found himself immersed in a new chapter of life. The influx of letters and messages from readers provided a constant source of joy and motivation. Each story shared with him reaffirmed the impact of his words and strengthened his resolve to continue inspiring others. One sunny afternoon, Emily and John decided to take Thomas on a special outing. They wanted to celebrate the success of his book and show him just how proud they were of him. "Dad, we've planned a little surprise for you," Emily said with a smile as she helped him into the car. John, sitting in the driver's seat, added, "It's a place we think you'll love. It's our way of thanking you for everything you've done for us and for sharing your incredible story with the world." Thomas was curious, but didn't press for details. He enjoyed the anticipation and the time spent with his children. The drive was pleasant, with the sun casting a warm glow over the landscape. They chatted about the book, the letters they had received, and the future. After a while, they arrived at a charming countryside retreat. The sprawling estate was surrounded by lush gardens, blooming with vibrant flowers. Thomas's eyes lit up with delight. "This place is beautiful," he said, stepping out of the car and taking in the view. Emily linked her arm with her father's. "We thought you'd like it here, Dad. It's a peaceful place where we can spend some quality time together." John nodded. "We've rented a cottage for the weekend. It's a chance for us to relax, reflect, and enjoy each other's company." Thomas felt a rush of gratitude. "This is wonderful. Thank you both. I couldn't ask for a better way to celebrate." The cottage was cozy and inviting, with large windows that offered stunning views of the gardens and surrounding countryside. After settling in, the family decided to explore the estate. They strolled through the gardens, admiring the meticulously maintained flower beds and the serene ponds. As they walked, Thomas shared stories from his past, recalling his own experiences with gardening and how it had always been a source of solace for him. Emily and John listened attentively, cherishing these moments of connection with their father. In the evening, they gathered around a bonfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing laughter. The crackling fire and the clear night sky created a perfect setting for heartfelt conversations. Thomas felt a deep sense of contentment, surrounded by his loved ones. As the weekend unfolded, the bond between Thomas, Emily, and John grew even stronger. They spent their days exploring the countryside, enjoying picnics, and engaging in lively discussions about their hopes and dreams. The retreat provided a much-needed respite from their busy lives and allowed them to reconnect on a deeper level. One morning, while sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee, Thomas turned to his children. "I want you both to know how proud I am of you. You've been my pillars of strength, and seeing you grow into such wonderful individuals has been the greatest joy of my life." Emily and John were deeply moved. "We feel the same way about you, Dad," John said. "Your resilience and love have shaped us into who we are today." Emily added, "Your story has inspired so many people, Dad. We're honored to be a part of your journey and to share this time with you." Thomas felt a lump in his throat as he looked at his children. "I couldn't have asked for a better family. Thank you for this beautiful weekend and for always being there for me." As the weekend drew to a close, they made a pact to continue these retreats, to always make time for each other and to cherish the moments they shared. The trip had not only celebrated the success of Thomas's memoirs, but had also reaffirmed the importance of family and the bonds that held them together. Returning to the nursing home, Thomas felt rejuvenated. The memories of the weekend lingered, bringing a smile to his face. He resumed his daily routine with a renewed sense of purpose, continuing to engage with readers and share his story. Emily and John visited frequently, bringing their children along and creating new memories with their father. They participated in events at the nursing home, joining Thomas in activities and sharing their lives with him. The sense of family and connection that had been rekindled continued to grow, filling Thomas's days with love and joy. Alice, too, noticed the positive change in Thomas. "You seem happier than ever, Thomas," she remarked one afternoon as they walked through the garden. Thomas nodded, his eyes twinkling. "I am, Alice. My family and I have reconnected in a way I never thought possible. It's brought so much joy into my life." Alice smiled warmly. "I'm glad to hear that, Thomas. You deserve all the happiness in the world. Your story has touched so many lives, including mine." Thomas felt a surge of gratitude for the friendship and support he had found in Alice. "Thank you, Alice. Your encouragement has meant so much to me. I'm grateful for your presence in my life." As they walked together, Thomas reflected on his journey. The struggles, the heartaches, and the triumphs had all led him to this moment. He realized that life's challenges had shaped him into the person he was, and he was proud of the legacy he was leaving behind. With each passing day, Thomas continued to find meaning and purpose in his life. The bonds he had strengthened with his family, the friendships he had nurtured, and the impact of his memoirs brought him immense fulfillment. He had faced the trials of life with resilience and emerged with a heart full of love and gratitude. As the months passed, Thomas's memoirs continued to touch the lives of readers far and wide. Letters of appreciation poured in, and his book became a source of inspiration for many who had faced similar struggles. The nursing home became a hub of activity, with visitors coming to meet the man whose words had moved them so deeply. One day, Emily approached Thomas with an idea. "Dad, I've been thinking. Your memoirs have inspired so many people. Why don't we start a foundation in your name? We could help others who are going through difficult times, just like you did." Thomas was intrigued. "A foundation? That sounds wonderful, Emily. But what exactly do you have in mind?" Emily explained, "We could provide support and resources for families dealing with illness, grief, and loss. We could also offer scholarships for students pursuing careers in writing, social work, or healthcare, fields that have touched our lives so profoundly." Thomas's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "I love the idea. It's a way to give back and ensure that our family's experiences can help others. Let's do it." With John's help, they began laying the groundwork for the Thomas Macmillan Foundation. They reached out to community leaders, healthcare professionals, and educators to build a network of support. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with many eager to contribute to such a meaningful cause. As the foundation took shape, Thomas felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was deeply involved in its development, attending meetings, brainstorming ideas, and sharing his story with potential donors and partners. The foundation became a family endeavor, with Emily, John, and even the grandchildren contributing their time and energy. One evening, as they were discussing the progress of the foundation, John shared an exciting update. "Dad, I've been in touch with a local university. They're interested in partnering with us to create a scholarship program in your name. It would support students who have overcome significant challenges and are pursuing degrees in fields related to your story." Thomas was overjoyed. "That's incredible, John. It's exactly what I hoped for. To think that our experiences can help others achieve their dreams. It's truly humbling." The Thomas Macmillan Foundation quickly gained momentum. They organized fundraising events, community workshops, and support groups. The foundation's outreach extended beyond their immediate community, touching lives across the country. The impact of Thomas's memoirs was now being amplified through tangible actions that provided hope and support to those in need. One of the Foundation's first major projects was a support group for families dealing with terminal illness. The group provided a safe space for people to share their experiences, find comfort in each other's stories, and receive practical advice from healthcare professionals. Thomas attended the group's inaugural meeting, where he shared his journey and listened to others. A woman named Sarah approached Thomas after the meeting, tears in her eyes. "Mr. Macmillan, your story has given me so much strength. My husband is battling cancer, and it's been incredibly hard on our family. Knowing that we're not alone, that others have faced similar challenges and found a way through, it means the world to me." Thomas hugged her gently. "Thank you, Sarah. You're not alone. We're all in this together, and the Foundation is here to support you every step of the way." The Foundation's scholarship program also flourished. They received numerous applications from students who had overcome adversity and were determined to make a difference in the world. Reading their stories, Thomas felt a profound connection to these young individuals. He saw in them the same resilience and determination that had carried him through his own struggles. At the first scholarship award ceremony, Thomas had the honor of presenting the scholarships to the recipients. He felt immense pride as he shook hands with each student, knowing that the Foundation was helping to shape a brighter future for them. One of the scholarship recipients, a young woman named Maria, shared her story during the ceremony. "Growing up, I faced many challenges, including losing my mother to cancer, but I always found solace in writing. When I read Mr. Macmillan's memoirs, I felt a deep sense of connection and hope. This scholarship means everything to me. It's a chance to pursue my dreams and honor my mother's memory." Thomas was moved to tears. "Maria, your strength and determination are truly inspiring. I'm honored that my story could play a small part in your journey. I have no doubt that you will achieve great things." As the Foundation continued to grow, Thomas found immense fulfillment in its work. The impact of the Foundation extended far beyond what he had ever imagined. He saw firsthand how his experiences and the lessons he had learned were helping others navigate their own challenges and find hope. The nursing home also benefited from the Foundation's success. They were able to expand their programs, offering more activities and resources for the residents. Thomas remained an active participant, continuing to share his story and support his fellow residents. One day, Alice approached Thomas with a proposal. "Thomas, I've been thinking, with all the good work the Foundation is doing, how about we create a garden here at the nursing home? A place where residents can relax, reflect, and find peace, just like you have in your garden." Thomas loved the idea. "That sounds perfect, Alice. A garden can be a source of healing and inspiration for everyone here." With the Foundation's support, they transformed a section of the nursing home's grounds into a beautiful garden. Residents and staff alike participated in planting flowers, setting up benches, and creating a tranquil space for reflection. The garden quickly became a favorite spot for everyone, a symbol of growth and renewal. Thomas often found himself in the garden, surrounded by the beauty of nature and the love of his family and friends. He reflected on his journey, grateful for the opportunities he had to make a difference. The Foundation, the book, and the garden were all part of his legacy, a testament to the power of resilience, love, and the human spirit. As the years went by, Thomas continued to find joy and purpose in his work with the Foundation. He remained a beloved figure at the nursing home, a source of wisdom and inspiration for all who knew him. His story, and the impact it had, served as a reminder that even in the face of adversity, there is always hope. As the Thomas Macmillan Foundation flourished, it garnered the attention of local media. Journalists began to take an interest in Thomas's life story and the remarkable work the Foundation was doing. One day, Thomas received a call from a prominent news outlet requesting an in-depth interview. The interview was scheduled to take place at the nursing home. The news team arrived early, setting up cameras and microphones in the garden Thomas had helped create. Emily and John were there to support their father, helping him prepare and ensuring he felt comfortable. When the journalist, Lisa Turner, arrived, she greeted Thomas warmly. Mr. Macmillan, it's an honor to meet you. Your story has touched so many lives, and we're excited to share it with our audience. Thomas smiled, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. Thank you, Lisa. I'm happy to share my journey and the work we're doing with the foundation. The interview began with Thomas recounting his early life, his struggles, and the events that led to the creation of his memoirs and the foundation. Lisa listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions and encouraging Thomas to delve deeper into his experiences. As the interview progressed, Lisa shifted the focus to the impact of the foundation. Thomas, the work your foundation is doing is truly remarkable. Can you share some of the most meaningful moments you've experienced since its inception? Thomas paused, reflecting on the many lives the foundation had touched. There have been countless moments that have left a lasting impact on me. One that stands out is the story of Sarah, a woman whose husband was battling cancer. She shared how the support group we started helped her find strength and hope during an incredibly difficult time. Knowing that we're making a difference in people's lives is what drives us to keep going. Lisa smiled, clearly moved by Thomas's words. Your foundation has become a beacon of hope for so many. What do you see for its future? Thomas's eyes shone with determination. I hope the foundation continues to grow and expand its reach. We want to provide support and resources to as many people as possible, helping them navigate their own challenges and find hope in the midst of adversity. The interview concluded with a tour of the garden. Thomas showed Lisa the various flowers and plants, sharing the stories behind their creation. It was a peaceful and poignant end to a meaningful conversation. A few weeks later, the interview aired on television and was shared widely online. The response was overwhelming. People from all walks of life reached out to Thomas, expressing their admiration and gratitude for his openness and resilience. Donations to the foundation increased, and more volunteers came forward to support their initiatives. One day, Thomas received a letter that would change everything. It was from a woman named Margaret, who lived in a small town several hours away. The letter was handwritten, and the emotions behind the words were palpable. Dear Mr. Macmillan, I watched your interview with great interest and admiration. Your story is both heartbreaking and inspiring. I felt compelled to reach out because I believe I have information that may be important to you. I knew a woman named Elizabeth who often spoke of a man named Thomas. She mentioned that they had a child together, a daughter, but circumstances forced them apart. Elizabeth passed away some years ago, but I believe you might be the Thomas she spoke of. If you would like to know more, please contact me. Sincerely, Margaret Lawson. Thomas read the letter multiple times, his heart racing with a mix of hope and apprehension. Could this be the missing piece of his past he had always wondered about? He decided to call Margaret and arrange a meeting. Emily and John supported their father's decision to meet Margaret, sharing in his curiosity and hope. They made the trip together, driving to the small town where Margaret lived. Upon arrival, they were greeted by a kind elderly woman who welcomed them into her home. Mr. Macmillan, I'm so glad you came, Margaret said warmly. Please, have a seat. Thomas, Emily, and John settled into the cozy living room, feeling a sense of anticipation. Margaret began to share her story. Elizabeth was my best friend, Margaret began, her voice filled with nostalgia. She often spoke of you, Thomas. She said you were the love of her life, but circumstances beyond her control forced her to leave. She never stopped loving you, and she always hoped to find you again. Thomas felt a lump in his throat. I loved Elizabeth deeply. We lost touch, and I never knew what happened to her. Margaret nodded sympathetically. Elizabeth passed away a few years ago, but she left behind a daughter. Her name is Anna. Elizabeth told me that you were Anna's father. Thomas's eyes widened in shock and disbelief. I have a daughter? Margaret handed Thomas a photo of a young woman. This is Anna. She's a wonderful person, kind-hearted and strong, just like her mother. Thomas stared at the photo, tears welling up in his eyes. I need to find her. I need to know my daughter. Margaret smiled warmly. Anna lives nearby. I can help you arrange a meeting. Overwhelmed with emotion, Thomas thanked Margaret for her kindness. Emily and John, equally moved, promised to support their father in this new chapter of their lives. The meeting with Anna was arranged for the following week. Thomas spent the days leading up to it in a whirlwind of emotions: nervousness, excitement, hope, and fear. He wondered how Anna would react and whether they could build a relationship after all these years. On the day of the meeting, Thomas, Emily, and John arrived at a quaint cafe where they had agreed to meet Anna. As they entered, Thomas spotted a young woman sitting at a table, nervously fidgeting with her hands. He recognized her from the photo Margaret had given him. Taking a deep breath, Thomas approached her. Anna! The young woman looked up, her eyes widening in recognition. Are you Thomas? Thomas nodded, his voice trembling. Yes, I'm your father. Tears filled Anna's eyes as she stood up and hugged Thomas tightly. I've waited so long to meet you. Thomas held her close, tears streaming down his face. I'm so sorry, Anna. I never knew. Emily and John watched the emotional reunion, their hearts full of joy for their father. They stepped forward to introduce themselves, and the family sat down to share their stories and get to know one another. Over the next few hours, Thomas and Anna bonded over shared memories of Elizabeth and their hopes for the future. They discovered similarities and differences, and a sense of connection that felt natural and profound. For Thomas, meeting Anna was a dream come true. It filled a void in his heart that he had carried for years. As they said their goodbyes, they promised to stay in touch and build a relationship that honored Elizabeth's memory. The reunion with Anna brought a new sense of purpose and fulfillment to Thomas's life. He continued his work with the foundation, now more determined than ever to make a difference. His story, one of resilience, love, and redemption, continued to inspire and uplift those around him. With his family by his side and a newfound connection with his daughter, Thomas embraced the future with hope and gratitude. His journey had been long and filled with challenges, but it had led him to a place of peace and fulfillment he had never imagined possible. Thomas, Emily, John, and Anna continued to meet regularly, building their relationships and sharing their lives. For Thomas, each moment with Anna felt like a precious gift, a chance to make up for lost time and create new memories together. Anna quickly became a beloved member of the Macmillan family. She and Emily formed a close bond, often spending time together shopping, cooking, and talking about their lives. John, too, welcomed Anna with open arms, happy to see his father so joyful and complete. One sunny afternoon, the family decided to gather at the nursing home garden for a special celebration. It was a day to honor Elizabeth's memory and acknowledge the new family they had become. Thomas, with Anna's help, had planted a beautiful rose bush in the garden, a symbol of love, resilience, and new beginnings. As they gathered around the rose bush, Thomas spoke, his voice filled with emotion. This rose bush is a tribute to Elizabeth, the love of my life, and to the journey that brought us all together. It represents the beauty that can come from pain, and the hope that even in the darkest times, there is always a chance for a new beginning. Anna, standing beside her father, added, "I never imagined I would find my family in this way. But now that I have, I feel incredibly blessed. Thank you, Dad, Emily, John, for welcoming me with open arms and hearts." Emily hugged Anna tightly. "We're so grateful to have you in our lives, Anna. You've brought so much joy and love to our family." John nodded in agreement. "You've completed our family in a way we didn't even realize was possible. We're excited for all the memories we'll create together." The family spent the rest of the afternoon sharing stories, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. The garden, once a place of solitude for Thomas, now echoed with the sounds of love and happiness. Thomas felt a profound sense of fulfillment and peace. His journey had been long and arduous, filled with heartache and loss, but it had also led him to the most important things in life: love, family, and purpose. He was grateful for every moment, every challenge, and every blessing that had brought him to this point. The Thomas Macmillan Foundation continued to thrive, expanding its reach and helping countless individuals and families. The Foundation's work became a lasting legacy, ensuring that Thomas's story of resilience and hope would continue to inspire and uplift for generations to come. In the years that followed, Thomas remained an active and beloved figure at the nursing home and within his community. He continued to write, sharing his thoughts and experiences in articles and speeches that touched the hearts of many. Anna, inspired by her father's journey and the work of the foundation, decided to pursue a career in social work. She wanted to make a difference in the lives of others, just as her father had done. With Thomas's guidance and support, she excelled in her studies and became a passionate advocate for those in need. The family celebrated many milestones together: birthdays, holidays, and the achievements of each member. They traveled, explored new places, and created a treasure trove of memories that they would cherish forever. One evening, as the family gathered in the garden, Thomas reflected on his journey. He looked around at his loved ones, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and contentment. The garden, now lush and vibrant, was a testament to the love and care that had nurtured it, just like their family. Thomas smiled, knowing that his legacy was not just in the foundation or his writings, but in the hearts of his children and the lives they touched. His story, one of overcoming adversity, finding love, and building a family, was a beacon of hope for all who heard it. With a heart full of love and a spirit at peace, Thomas embraced the future, ready for whatever it might bring. He knew that with his family by his side, they could face any challenge and create a life filled with joy, purpose, and endless possibilities. And so, the Macmillan family story continued, a beautiful tapestry of love, resilience, and new beginnings, a testament to the enduring power of hope and the unbreakable bonds of family. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you like the story. Also watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.